Well, howdy there, guys. Welcome back to Stewie MTG, and once again, I've found a deck I don't think I've done a video for, unless YouTube took it down for some reason, which happens from time to time. We have ourselves here a deck that is, because of my particular play group, some of the guys have decided to up the game a little bit and play a little bit more competitively. I would say almost quasi-C EDH, versus, you guys know me, I generally play around a 7. So I decided I got sick of playing against Keurig and Nadu and a couple others, so I just decided to make Stewie's version of a stacks deck. It's not your normal stacks deck, and you'll see why here in a moment. But as commander, I decided to do Grand Arbiter Agustin the 4th. 4 mana, 2/3. Blue spells you cast cost 1 less. White spells you cast cost 1 less. And spells your opponents cast cost 1 more. I was able to pick up this sweet Judge promo for only like $8, and it kind of tipped the iceberg on what deck I should make. So with that, let's take a look at how we're going to be playing all these spells. First up, we've got a Knefet's Monument, and already the control element comes into play. Number 1, the blue creature spells cost 1 less, but also whenever I play a creature, I tap a target creature opponent controls, and it doesn't untap. Put kind of a freeze counter on it. I'm counting this as both kind of an effect as well as a cost reducer. We have ourselves for Ramp, Soul Ring, Mind Stone, Arcane Signet, Sky Diamond, Marble Diamond, Azorius Locket, Azorius Cluestone, Midnight Clock, Azorius Keyrune, and Commander Sphere. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the card draw that enables us to play the things we need to do to control the game. We have ourselves Opt, Preordain, Halathon Knots, which also allows us to tap a creature, Sphinx's Revelation to draw a bunch of cards, and Fact or Fiction. Let's go ahead and start off this control suite, if you want to call it that, with some artifacts. So of the normal stacks pieces, I only chose to play Crawl Space. No more than 2 creatures can attack you each combat, which helps to reduce the big token decks, the big fat fatties, and I've got some interesting blockers. But on the side, I decided to have fun with this deck, as Stewie does. I decided to include a nice Icy Manipulator to tap stuff down, to really mess with my opponents with Adjuster's Cap, and Adjuster's Mask. Since this is going a little bit higher power, I want to mess with their hands, mess with their decks, so they can't get their combos off, that type of thing. With that, let's actually look at our enchantments to see how it benefits our strategy of controlling the game. I've got Dovin, Hand of Control, to increase the cost of instant sorceries and artifacts of my opponent's play. This is kind of not in the same category. These 2 cards are kind of in different categories, but we've got Sleep to tap down my opponent's stuff and make sure that they don't untap, especially if I'm trying to go in for the win. We have Authority of the Consuls to make sure their stuff comes in tapped. Blind Obedience to do the same thing. An interesting old card that I decided to include. Whenever an opponent successfully casts a summon spell, it deals 2 damage to them unless they play 2. So once again, big creature decks, or decks that really use life like Keurig does, they have to pay more life in order to play those spells. It costs a lot more. To get rid of commanders, I've got an Imprisoned in the Moon. We've got Aura of Silence to get those artifact and enchantment spells costing more. To prevent mass attacks and that, we've got Propaganda and the Ghostly Prison. One day in game, I did get Propaganda, Ghostly Prison, and one of my creatures that makes them spend 2 more, so they're spending 6 mana for each creature to attack me. And lastly, in the enchantment category, I've got a Leyline of Sanctity to help protect against those spells, that an X spell that targets me to make my life total go to 0. Let's take a look at the counterspell suite. We've got Rebuff the Wicked, Spell Pierce, Mana Tithe, Dovin's Veto, Negate, Arcane Denial, Counterspell, Absorb, Dissolve, and who doesn't like a free Counterspell and Rewind? We've got a bit of removal in the form of Swords to Plowshares, Rapid Hybridization, Divine Offering, Disenchant, Generous Gift, Destroy Evil, board wipes in the form of Cleansing Nova and Austere Command. And now we come to our creatures, a vast eclectic assortment, as you might say. We have ourselves Soulless Jailer, for those decks that really want to mess with the graveyard. Unsettled Mariner, it just to help give basically everything I've got Ward 1. Kamiya the Crescent Moon to draw additional cards, along with Gadwick the Wizened. We have an Aven Mind Sensor to prevent those search shenanigans. Caliphie, Beloved of the Sea, another ward type effect. Redain, God of the Worthy. Non-creature spells, 4 more, cost 2 more, which sometimes those big game-ending spells, you make it from a 6 cast to an 8 casting cost, prolongs the game just a little bit. We have ourselves a Fate Spinner. So let's go in the Wayback Machine, folks. So we are going back to the age of artifacts were king, and in those artifact decks was Fate Spinner. We had ourselves the big blue creatures that had affinity for artifacts, and Fate Spinner was the thing that made them go. Back in the days of Standard, I remember decks running 4 Fate Spinners and just going, what do you skip? Because it makes you skip either the draw step, main phase, or combat. That means when there's 4 Fate Spinners, you don't get any phases. You just get to go pass, unless somehow you have the ability during your upkeep to cast something with split second and get rid of this bugger. We got Pilgrim of the Ages in there for some ramp. That should have kind of been in the ramp section along with Core Cartographer. Plus they're nice chump blockers when I need them. A ward effect in the form of Archon of Absolution, excuse me, not ward, to increase the cost, like Propaganda and the other enchantments. Same thing here with Bard, Steward of Argive, costs 1 more. Windborn Muse makes it cost 2 more. Solemn Simulacrum's in there for mana ramp as well as a card draw. Dream Trawler is a flying blocker as well as potential card draw. And Spell Tithe Enforcer, it's just another tax effect. Well, if you guys have noticed, I went more on the taxing, not the death and taxes, but more of the taxes side of stacks. With that, in order to get some of this out, we've got some non-basic lands because this is an Azorius deck. We've got Floodplain, Paramorphic Expanse, and Evolving Wilds to go get some lands. Got Encroaching Waste. I didn't include too much non-basic land removal. I didn't want to be too mean. Got Prairie Stream, Idyllic Beachfront, Mystic Sanctuary to get a card that we need back out. Glacial Floodplain, Path of Ancestry, Cycling Line with Secluded Steppe, Reliquary Tower, because generally speaking I'm holding a grip of cards waiting for the right time to play some of those counter spells. Command Tower, Temple of Enlightenment, and lastly Sky Cloud Expanse. Well, anyways, this has been Grand Arbiter Agustin the 4th. Hopefully you guys enjoy and don't throw too much shade. This is not Stewie's normal deck. This is when things get nasty at the table and I've got to throw out something to keep myself in the game, so to speak. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and we will catch y'all later.